What's going on YouTube? This is Destiny Heroic, and I'm coming at you here with something a little bit different from what I usually post. With March fast approaching, we need to start thinking about what the new ban list is going to be. So I wanted to open up this. I wanted to post a video and open up to discussion what we think may or may not go on the ban list, come off the ban list, or whatever. So I want to talk about a few of my thoughts on what should go on, what should come off, and what should be changed, and just kind of go from there. And I'd like to open that up to discussion, get people's opinions on it, and just see what becomes of it. So first of all, the first thing I want to talk about is what is currently playable that I think should get banned again. Obviously, first thing on the chopping block is Blackluster Soldier. This guy, when he came off the ban list, it just terrified me. And obviously, every deck that has won a YCS or major tournament since has been using this guy. And he's just so ridiculously overpowered. He's splashable in every deck. And it's getting to the point where people have to start maining things just to deal with him. So it's either you play BLS or you lose to BLS. This guy can remove anything. He's easy to summon, remove anything in the way. He's got gigantic stats and the potential to deal upwards of 6,000 damage in one turn just by himself. So when something is that overpowered, it needs to come off. It needs to get banned. And I realized, it was nice to have him off the list for after 6 years, so we could play around with him, dig him out of the binders. But I think it's time for him to go away again. So obviously, I think Blackluster Soldier, he needs to get banned again. And obviously, in Japan, they're getting the Blackluster Soldier in their Gold series, which makes me think that they might not ban this guy, which again terrifies me. But, I mean, if that's what happens, then that's what happens, and we'll just have to deal with it. But my personal opinion is I think he needs to get banned. So, next on the chopping block, Mind Control. So, level 3s are the norm right now, and if your opponent sets a Sangan first turn, you can Mind Control it, play at level 3 of your own, exceed, and they don't get their Sangan effect. So, Mind Control is actually really disgusting right now. And he can turn off a Tengu effect, he can do all kinds of weird stuff. And actually, if they don't ban this, I don't mind if they keep Blackluster Soldier in, because you can mind control a Blackluster, remove him with his effect, and then go forward with your turn. So this has less of an impact than Blackluster Soldier, but I think they could stand to ban it, or just leave it as is. And obviously next we need to think about the tour guide engine. What do we do about tour guide? Most people want to get rid of tour guides. The people who want to get rid of tour guides right now are the people who don't have tour guides. People are thinking like, oh, it's $200, let's ban it. Yeah, no, that's not how it works. This is a really good card. Is it a broken card, though? Does it break the metagame just because everybody plays it? Is it absolutely broken? I don't think so. What makes this card really good is that you can tutor out Sangan right away on your first turn. I wouldn't mind seeing Sangan get banned, actually. That would reduce the effectiveness of the tour guide engine while not having to reduce the number of tour guides you can play. And with Tour Bus coming out, you really don't want to... I mean, tour guide, I go back and forth on it, but two things you need to think about are that the OCG has not gotten tour guide yet, and we are getting a reprint of tour guide in a few months. Now, when we get the reprint, you really want to be just thinking like, oh, I finally have my tour guide, but I can only play one of them now. I think tour guide should stay at 3. And because we're getting the reprint, Konami wants to sell a lot of that next set, Battle pack, epic, or whatever it is. They want to sell a lot of it. And let's be honest, people are going to buy the set just to get the tour guide. And if they can only play one tour guide, they're not going to buy the set because the secret ones will go down in price. And they just released Tour Bus, and Tour Bus obviously doesn't work outside of the tour guide engine. So I think tour guide should stay at 3. Tour Bus isn't good enough to be affected by the ban list, but Sangan, we could think about putting Sangan at 1. I wouldn't mind that. That would change the dynamic of the game right now. So, and the next thing, with the release of Order of Chaos, there's 2 big decks that everyone is hyping on that are going to be the dominant deck types. That's Insectors and Windups. So, Insectors, how do you control Insectors? Like, Order of Chaos got pushed up. The North American release got pushed up by a full month for some reason. And I think it's either Insectors or Windup, so we can play with one of the decks or both of the decks before one of them gets hit on the ban list. So we can get like a YCS and a couple regionals in with it. But are Insectors broken? Not really. I don't think so. I'm an Insector player. And obviously, if you don't draw your Hornet, you're dead in the water. But you only need one Hornet. So you can't ban Hornet. Otherwise, it'll just kill the whole deck. And you don't want to kill the deck so soon after its release. You could put Insector Dragonfly to 1, which actually is kind of reasonable. But what'll happen is people will just start putting in triple Gigamantis, using their Hornet to pop a Gigamantis and reuse their Dragonfly that way. So whatever they do, I mean, if they do anything, I think they should hit Dragonfly, because everything else is pretty simplistic. So the other cards from Order of Chaos are the Windups. Here we go, Windup Zenmaity. And this is what I'm showing, but the other things I want to talk about: Windup Rat and Windup Hunter. Those are the 3 cards that are used, the 3 main cards that are used in this loop. So Windup Zenmaity and Windup Rat actually make Windups a tier 1 tournament level deck, which is really good. And you don't want to, like I said about Insectors, you don't want to kill a deck so soon after its release. So what needs to happen is you don't want to kill the deck, you want to kill the loop. So the key cards of the loop are Zenmaity, Rat, and Hunter. So you could put Zenmaity at 1, but you can reuse Zenmaity pretty easily. You can use Exceed Reborn and stuff like that, and even with one Zenmaity, you can get Hunter's effect off like twice per turn, I think. And or the other option is you could reduce Rat to 1. But if you reduce Rat and leave Zenmaity at 3, you can still get Hunter's effect off twice in one turn. And it's a partial loop, but you're still discarding 2 cards before your opponent can do anything. The best thing I think that you can do about Windups without destroying the deck utterly by killing the loop is to ban Windup Hunter. Because putting him to 1 doesn't matter, because you only use 1 in the combo, and the deck searches itself out. So Zenmaity, you play a Zenmaity and you play a Hunter from your deck, and you only need 1 to get the combo going. So if you ban Hunter, then the deck is still good. You can still spam out a whole bunch of monsters, but you can't discard your opponent's entire hand on the first turn. So that's something to think about. So a couple things I wanted to talk about. People are really complaining about Rescue Rabbit, and I don't understand why. The Rescue Rabbit deck is not a good deck. I play Rescue Rabbit, and it has got some of the worst draws I've ever seen. If you draw 2 of your normal monsters with the same name in your opening hand, you've only got 1 shot off a Rescue Rabbit, and you need to play Rescue Rabbit every turn in order for that deck to be useful, in order for it to be good. So, and like you could put Rescue Rabbit to 1, but so what? You just Gold Sark, Tour Guide into Leviair, and bring it out. You only ever use 1 Rescue Rabbit. It's not about playing it from the hand, it's about playing it repeatedly however you do it. So, reducing Rescue Rabbit, I don't think is going to serve any purpose. And the deck is not very good. The Evolzar version is not very good. So leave Rescue Rabbit at 3. Who cares? So at this point, I think I want to talk about some things that should come off the ban list, or maybe, yeah, things that should come off the ban list, or things that people want to come off the ban list. First thing I want to talk about is Royal Oppression. Royal Oppression, I think, can come back off and go to 1, because people complain about plants, and Royal Oppression shuts down plants. And honestly, 1 Royal Oppression is not going to be disgustingly broken, because you've got Heavy Storm and 3 MSTs and all kinds of other crap going on that can destroy backfield. So one Royal Oppression is not going to break Royal Oppression, but it is a means of controlling plants, which are the dominant deck type. So, and what I've heard people talking about is bringing Disc Commander off of the ban list. And to those people, I think you should go to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Wikia and look up Kinkabayo, and then reevaluate if you want Disc Commander to come off the ban list. Because even if they, in an attempt to destroy plants, if they get rid of like Dandelion, then the plant deck will just start running Kinkabayo and this fucker, and the deck will still be the dominant deck type. So this guy needs to actually stay on the ban list, because he's just too good with 2 Call and Haunted and like 1 Monster Reborn and all kinds of other stuff you can use to special summon from the graveyard. This is just too disgusting. And like Kinkabayo, you just see the Chaos deck ruling like it did before. So Disc Commander needs to stay on the ban list. And so some interesting things that I wouldn't mind seeing come off the ban list, I think, would be something like Raigeki. Raigeki is... It was broken, but what people are using Dark Hole for right now is what they would be using Raigeki for. You just play Dark Hole when you don't have any monsters and you clear your opponent's field. Big whoop. If they did bring back Raigeki, I think they would have to ban Dark Hole again, though, because you shouldn't be able to play both of them in the same deck. But I mean, especially if they leave BLS in, then I'd like to see that extra bit of monster destruction come back in to kind of balance the game again. And on another note, we could think about bringing Tribe Virus back. Tribe Virus is a good way of controlling swarm decks. If you're terrified of Insectors or Dark World, then this is a great card to use against them. But, I mean, against plants, it doesn't do much. You can maybe discard 1 card and kill 1 card on their field. But, I mean, having to discard to destroy something on the field, especially when they have multiple card types, having to discard to destroy something is pretty balanced. I mean, if they spam out like a field of 5 Dark World cards, then you could just play this and kill them all at once, which is kind of disgusting. But the existence of Tribe Virus in everybody's deck, I think, would keep people from spamming out all kinds of monsters, unless they're OTKing. So that's something to think about. And then there's like other stuff on the ban list that like doesn't even matter. Like, why don't we peruse the ban list here? Like, Magical Scientist. Like, who cares if Magical Scientist is on or off the ban list right now? Nobody plays... You can't do the Scientist loop anymore with a 15-card extra deck. Thousand Eyes Restrict is banned. So who cares if Scientist is on or not? You could also bring back Thousand Eyes Restrict and not Magical Scientist. I mean, nobody's going to be fusing Thousand Eyes Idol and Relinquished. That's a bad plan, I think. So going down, let's see, and like Metamorphosis probably needs to stay banned because you summon Beast King Barbros, Metamorphosis him, he turns into a Cyber Twin Dragon. That's a little unbalanced, I think. Time Seal, anything that stops the draw phase, I think should stay banned. Imperial Order. There's a thought, huh? You can play Royal Decree at 3, and that stops all traps, and it doesn't cost anything. Imperial Order stops spells and costs you 700 life points per turn. Who cares about the cost? Spells can be crucial, but again, in a game dominated by monster effects, not the least of which are Inzektor monster effects, continuous trap cards are pretty much just white noise. So, coming down here, here's a thought. I wouldn't mind seeing Gale, Blackwing Gale, go back to 3, or at least 2. Blackwings, I don't like Blackwings. They had their time in the sun, but they don't really need a boost. But if people want to play them, then they need a good reason. Like, can you think of a deck that uses Gale right now? I can't think of it. I can't immediately think of a deck outside of Blackwings or like random stun decks that use Gale. So if you want to bring back Blackwings, you can bring back Gale, or maybe put Kalut at 2 or something like that. Another thought is Stratos. What about Stratos? Stratos has been on the limited list since 2006, I think it was, when DDT first came out. And it might be risky to put him back to 2. People just ignore him, though. It might be risky to put him back to 2 with the Mask Heroes coming out, but it's a thought. What about if Stratos went to 2? I don't think he should go to 3, but put him back at 2. Sure, why not? Marshmallow, who cares? Put him back to 3. He doesn't do anything. Let's see. Just perusing the limited list here. Burial from the Different Dimension. That might be something to bring back a Vayu-based Blackwing deck. Who cares about Blackwings, though? Emergency Teleport. Psychics are dead. You could probably bring back Emergency Teleport to 2. Who cares? And to be honest, when Teledad was at the end of its reign, they weren't even using Emergency Teleport. They were using multiple Plague Spreaders. So E-Tele can probably come back. Maybe pick up the Psychic slack. And let's see. Xian Smoke Signal.